What is going on, tribe? I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. Beautiful day here in Southern California. I hope it's beautiful where you are too. So over the next 6 episodes, I'm going to be covering the CHEK Institute 6 Holistic Lifestyle Principles because I really believe, especially if you're using all 6 as a daily checklist, they can help not only transform your health, but help transform your life. Number 1 is breathing, hydration, nutrition, movement, sleep, and mindset. So today I'm just going to go over the basics of breathing. Kind of important. We all need to breathe to stay alive. We all know that. But the problem is most of us are breathing backward, or we have what's called a backward breathing pattern. Otherwise, sometimes known as a paradoxical breathing pattern. But we're basically mouth breathing to the chest instead of nose breathing to the belly using the diaphragm. So mouth breathing to the chest, when we get stuck in that, that's basically a stress response that gets stuck. And it's an unconscious thing. As a matter of fact, 95 to 99% of what we do is unconscious. So it's really important to continue to practice these things. So hopefully that we're doing them automatically when we're, going through our email or whatever, just doing our daily tasks. Hopefully we're being mindful about our breathing and posture and movement and so forth. But as far as breathing goes, there's a couple of things I really want to talk about with breathing and why it's so important. Number 1, your breathing is always going to be a reflection of your environment. And that's critical to understand that. So if your environment is chaotic, your breathing pattern is probably going to be a little chaotic as well. But if you know that, it can be a huge advantage because you can actually use your breath to handle the chaos or to handle those stressful environments much better, especially if you're dealing with a job that you don't like or in relationships, in a situation where it's stressful right now. And that could be for a lot of reasons, obviously. So the main thing I want to let you know is a lot of us are stuck in a mouth breathing chest pattern, which keeps us which is a stress response to get stuck. But it keeps us in a sympathetic or more of a fight or flight mode, which makes us produce too much cortisol and adrenaline. Insulin follows that. We have 3 primary hormones: insulin, cortisol, and adrenaline. And your body will always make those hormones first at the expense of all others, so you can get away from the rhinoceros that's not actually standing next to you. A lot of time we just hit a red light we're not happy about. Anyway, and that could be a good time to take a deep breath. Hit a red light you're not happy about, putting you a little bit behind. Try not to get too pissed off at that. Take a deep breath. Anyway, so what I want to talk about, how important it is to breathe through the nose through the mouth, and breathe and being mindful of that throughout the day. Because if you're in a more of a nose breathing pattern, you're going to be more in a parasympathetic or rest and digest mode, and you're going to be much more relaxed, which relaxes the nervous system. If you're in a mouth breathing pattern, you're in more of a fight or flight pattern, and that's going to tighten up your fascia, tighten up your suit, especially your levator scap muscles, groin muscles, so forth. And that's going to, because you're getting ready to sprint away once again from the rhino that's actually not there. So the more we understand, and by the way, 2 branches of our autonomic nervous system: sympathetic, parasympathetic, action mode and rest mode. And again, cortisol and adrenaline are actually really good hormones. We're just making too much of them. And it's yin and yang. So if we're making too much stress hormone, we can't make enough repair hormone. We can't make enough melatonin. We can't make enough estrogen, testosterone. And a lot of us are having problems with those hormones because we're making so much cortisol. And by the way, if we're not using all our cortisol, guess where it goes? It goes right to our tummy fat, right to our visceral fat. Another thing we don't want. So my challenge for you is, on a basic level, try to be more mindful through the day of breathing through your nose versus breathing through your mouth. And actually, once in a while, like when I do breath work with my clients, I have them put one hand on their chest and one hand on their belly. And when they first take a deep diaphragmatic breath, nose to belly, should be 2/3 belly, maybe that last third chest, and then a nice full complete exhale without rounding your posture to exhale. You want to get used to that diaphragm compressing your air out. So inhale the belly, exhale out. And one of the keys is an 8-second exhale. An 8-second exhale is really going to help put you into that parasympathetic mode. So can you take a deep breath and exhale for 8 seconds slowly without needing to take that next breath right away? Might be a fun little challenge for you. Deep diaphragmatic breath, 8-second exhale. Next breath. Even one of those at a critical time, like before you're about to make an important decision, or if you're about to respond to somebody in a way that you think you shouldn't, take that deep breath first, or before you just sign on the dotted line, and make sure that's feeling okay. That's going to put you in a better decision-making mode, because we're in stress mode. We tend to crave more sugar, we crave more alcohol, and we tend to make bad decisions. When we're in more of a parasympathetic mode, we make better decisions. We're also more calm, and we're more balanced hormonally. Now, fight or flight mode is super important. We want to get our stuff done. Again, cortisol and adrenaline are great hormones. We need them. We're just making too much of them. So if you're mindful of that, and a lot of people are stuck on one branch of their nervous system or the other, stuck in fight or flight mode, and we should have the neural elasticity or plasticity, if I'm saying that correctly, to be able to kind of ping pong back and forth through the day as we need to, but most of us are stuck in one side, and that can really cause a lot of dysfunction within the body. So my challenge to you, once again, more breathing through the nose. Try to catch yourself mouth breathing, especially if you're in a stressful situation, and take that nice deep diaphragmatic breath. By the way, your diaphragm is also a major stabilizer of your core. So if you're not deep breathing with your diaphragm, you're not using it to stabilize yourself. And once again, that can cause a lot of dysfunction within the body. And then lastly, like I said, it's a deep rabbit hole, man. I could keep going with breathing. But lastly, mouth breathers tend to breathe way more to get the same oxygen that a nose breather does. So even though those holes are smaller, our sinus cavity actually uptakes more oxygen when we're breathing that way than our mouth does. Now, once in a while, we do need more tidal volume, like when you're exercising or surfing or something like that demands sometimes you're going to need to take a mouth breath. But the idea is just to be mindful of that, shift back to the nose when you can, and just manage that throughout the day, because what you're also doing is balancing and managing your hormones. And that's critical, balancing and managing your autonomic nervous system. All right, guys, so that's my breathing tip for today. Slow it down when you need to, more with that nose. I'll come back with more breath work techniques later on, but the main thing right now is use that diaphragm, avoid that mouth breathing, relax that system. Stress Management 101, guys. Peace.